Rightio. Oh, contact. Oh, the blinkers automatically shut off. I like that. G'day race fans, how are we? It's Adrian here, and welcome to Just a Ride. We're on offer today. We've got a 2012 Harley Davidson Fat Boy. Let's see what this thing's got, eh? There is displacement for days, 1690 cc's, 103 cubic inches in the old scale. It is 331 kilos. I think that's 1,654 pounds. I'm not too sure of the conversion there. The wheelbase is 1,600 mils, 1.6 meters, or 77 yards. It's a tight package, but just the overall feel is wooden. Sports bike. Yeah, I got away from a sports biker. Life's complete. See, we're not all bad, guys, us sports bike riders. The wheelbase, yeah, can be measured in millimeters, centimeters, probably most accurate using this method. Yeah, she's big, that's what I'm trying to say. Floorboards, I'm not sure what they call them. Oh, you'd notice too, I'm full Nike bikey. Don't worry about that, guys. Woohoo, I'm cool. I couldn't get any more blacker if I tried. I've even got the black underwear on. Really trying to, you know, I'm a method actor. I believe deeply in my part, and I ensconce myself in it. This is, it's this crazy sort of conundrum. I'm trying to get my head around how I can best describe the feeling of the bike. It's heavy, but it's not heavy in your hands. The bar controls are fantastic. It's an oxymoron. It's fresh frozen. It's army intelligence. It's light on your hands, but in between your legs it's really heavy. So all the weight's kind of, you know, down low, but you know, the leverage you got off the bars makes it feel, ooh, I'm not going to use the word nimble. Let's get the thesaurus out. Let's find another word, because nimble suggests to me that, you know, has a rake angle of 23 degrees on the forks, and no, this is raked out to the heck. I've never owned a Harley. This is maybe the third Harley I've ever ridden. And I can see the appeal in them, absolutely. Yeah, they sound bloody great. Big V-twin. I do know for a fact that at one point in the, I believe it was the 90s, the 1990s, Harley Davidson, like, there you go, bloody get over yourself, guys. They tried to patent in America the sound of this motorcycle. Please, guys. It's a bloody V-twin. It's a 45 degree V-twin. Like, you cannot patent the sound that makes. So, of course, a whole bunch of other companies that made 45 degree twins, they went up in arms against this, and it went to court, and Harley finally saw the error of their ways and pulled the pin on that, because you can't, it's, you know, it's like copyrighting a colour. You know, I own blue. No one else can use blue. Come on. Very smooth. This engine, I honestly thought I was in for a filling, shaking experience in my head. I did read up, I believe there is some form of sort of counterbalance on the crank of this thing to try and help keep away the chunkiness of it, just to smooth it out a bit. And it is generally quite smooth for a displacement of, let's call it 1700 cc's, guys. Oh, that's heavy. Okay. A clutch is really light clutch. I thought this was going to measure on the Richter scale just on idle, but it's not at all. It's actually really usable, predictable. I'm aware of some of the figures too, for the nerds out there, for the spec nerds. Gotta love a good number, right? They claim it's 138 Newton meters of torque at 3,000 RPM. Those numbers are dropping in both accounts. The number of Newton meters of torque, 138, that is... Like torque, let's not get too techie, but torque is the turning force of something. 138 Newton meters of torque at 3,000 RPM. And that number, 3,000 RPM, that's so low. Like it's idling at, I've got a tacho here, 1,000. Its maximum torque is registered at 3,000 RPM, but obviously doesn't rev much beyond that, maybe 5 or 6, I kind of have no idea. But with an engine displacement of 1690, I wasn't expecting, you know, a rev counter in the low teens at all. It was always going to be low, but I didn't know it was going to be diesel truck engine low. And the horsepower number, this is a funny one, people. This horsepower number took me a little bit of digging to get. They were mad for the Newton meters of torque number. That was everywhere. I got that from the butcher, you know, like that number is easy to get. The number for horsepower, black art, dark art, but the best I found was 103 horsepower. That's not an impressive number. I'm going to be absolutely straight with you there, Harley Davidson fans. You know, it's that's not a good 103 horsepower in something that's nearly bloody 2-litre engine. But in saying that, I know the trade-off. I'm not an idiot. The torque number is off its head. The torque number is of a number that is a world away from my understanding of how much turning force an engine has. Yeah, it's big. These blinkers are weird. I've got the right blinker on my right thumb and the left blinker on my left thumb and an automatic shut-off. There you go, just worked in. That is, that's technology. Chopper. So this bike, like I said, 2012, I can assure you, the gentleman who owns it, who is a bloody Irish legend, brother of mine from the north, he assures me he has done nothing other than turn the key in this engine. He's to put no trickery, no aftermarket stuff on it, and I know for a fact that the aftermarket Harley Davidson game is just silly, isn't it, right? You know? There's so many aftermarket bits for an extraordinary amounts of money. Maybe I should have stated this at the start of this ride, people. I haven't ridden many Harleys in my life. My choices are of the high revving and Japanese ilk, but I'm the first to admit that, hey, bikes are bikes, and we all ride, and we're all brothers and sisters. This is a unique experience though. This is different to riding. Although it's based in the same thing, it's yeah, it's I can understand why the people who love Harleys love them. You know, they're very iconic, aren't they? It's got to be one of the lightest, smoothest clutch operations of a bike I've ever felt. Hat tip to you, Harley. You have done well with that clutch, and it's cable operated. It's not even hydraulic, and it's still smooth. So it's obviously got to be the strength of the springs in the clutch basket mechanism, right? It's spectacular. Yeah, sorry for the grim Gold Coast day, guys. So we're just coming into winter here, and yeah, there's a bloke there with a long sleeve shirt on. You can tell it's serious. And look at that. Ah, it's just a terrible grey day, isn't it? Hey? Sucks to be alive out here. Nice big mellow cambered corner. That was made for a Harley, that corner. I haven't yet touched the floorboards on the deck yet. So I'm not looking forward to that. I know it's going to scare the hell out of me when it happens. And I hope it doesn't disturb the bike mid-corner if and when it does happen. Because I've noticed the floorboards, they're very rigid and fixed. I would have thought they would have hinged in the event of a touchdown. But no, they're as fixed as they get. This thing is made out of, I think, the thickest gauge steel that man could make. Big girl, big girl, big girl. Get around that bend. That was like an MMA bout. The energy that I had to impart through the motorcycle to get it turned. Oh, that was funny. Anybody who rides twisties on one of these, even somewhat decently fast, a hat tip to you, sir or madam. These are ground clearance was not a viable sort of thought when they were designing this. Ground clearance, what's that? You know, I'm sure these high-end bloody sports bikes, they're thinking about the wing mirrors and ground clearance when they're designing the motorcycle. At that 338 Newton meters of torque you can feel, you can just be as lazy as heck. I'm in second gear right now, really should be in first. Just talk out of it. Oh, I just felt the ABS activate there under my right toe. That was a strange sensation. Wow. So just ergonomics too. My ass is not only on this seat, my ass is in this seat, and I've got like lumbar spine support, you know, sort of up to about, I reckon, probably about L6 or L7 there on the old back stick. Mirrors are nice. Mirrors give me a good, very good understanding of what's in my wake. The ride, the suspension, so it's a soft tail Fat Boy. So I know from a little bit of education that I've had to give myself in the last couple of days in preparation for this gig was the soft-tailed moniker of a Harley. Denotes obviously the fact that the rear end is sprung, where, believe it or not, some rear ends are not sprung. Isn't that wild? That you can get a hard-tailed motorcycle. I'm going to do something a bit dodgy here, just as a bit of a tester. Turns around, right? That goes alright. I did have to stand on the rear brake to get that last tight U-turn in though. It worked. Still haven't touched the floorboards. That's I'm taking that as a positive. Or am I just not trying hard enough? Man up, AIDS. So that the acceleration, I'm trying to be respectful here, you know. But the acceleration, the digestion of chewing gum is quicker than the acceleration of a Harley Davidson. Just a couple of ugly girls on the Gold Coast. Yeah. The ergonomics, you can't falter. They're little floorboards here. They're fantastic. No archy, sore achy arches on feet. Yeah, it's really quite fantastic. Like I said, this seat kind of cups the lower back of the lower part of your spine. I'm just perched right in here. Like I said, this is a bog standard. Nothing's changed on this bike, so whatever you could get factory issue in 2012, this is what I'm on right now. It's I'm probably 30-40 k's into this ride. Number one highlight, like, is the clutch. That clutch is beautiful. It is so smooth. It is so light. You know, doing some sums at the start of this, looking that I was about to throw a leg over a motorcycle that's 1690 cc's, I thought this clutch was going to be like MX forearm burning kind of stuff. But it's not at all. It's so light. This cable operated clutch, like I said, I reckon it's got something to do with the clutch springs. They must be like the spring out of a watch or something. It must be so light. Because, yeah, like, I'm a two-finger clutch sort of dude anyway, but you can get away with one. Let's just do. There you go. One digit on the clutch. ABS brakes help. The both the discs front and back are the same size. People. And just obviously, the calipers a bit meatier on the front. The ABS is a nice little bit of insurance policy, though. Let's be honest. As soon as the invent of ABS came along, I felt Harley kind of have to use it because they outgunned themselves. Like, you know, this is a 330 kilo motorcycle with one disc on the front. That's just silly, guys. I don't care how important aesthetics are to you. It's not the safety of mankind. Isn't that above how it looks? I mean, I'm all for an aesthetically pleasing motorcycle, but it's not as though I've just been given 4 weeks to live, and it's a race to try and do myself in. It's here we go. That torque. Oh, yeah, horsepower, nothing. Torque, just ridiculous amounts. I think I'm actually, when you turn the accelerator on this bike, you feel that, guys? Yeah, I just rotated the entire globe off my back wheel. So this is a time machine. I have access to speeding up of time with the accelerator and slowing down of time with a 330 kilo motorcycle with ABS. It is awe-inspiring. So big, so wide too. Like, it's couch stuff. Just laying back here, just sorry. I must admit the lane filtering, lane splitting, in Australia we call it up the guts. I'm too intimidated to do that on this bike. I'm not as sure. I need curb feelers out the side, you know, like, she a big girl. I don't want to start poking it up the guts of traffic and make a prick of myself with someone's bike that isn't mine. The Harley, bloody men, women and children. Oh, here we go, ABS test. Oh, yeah, felt that on the rear foot. Wow, that ABS is a bizarre experience in my right foot. I didn't feel it on my hand, but felt that on the rear brake. It was cool. Nice little test. Yeah, the mass appeal of this bloody Harley. You know, I'm having bloody men, women and children are just waving at me. Do you realise how sick a bike I actually do own? Oh well, get over it, AIDS. It does sound like a personal problem, doesn't it? Sorry for sharing, guys. Yeah, there's mass appeal in these things. I mean, when you've got a company that sells motorcycles, hair shampoo, nail clippers, towels, hallway runners, saucepans, you know, they have market appeal, don't they? I know Harley are in a little bit of dire straits at the moment as a business, but with this current economic climate, geez, who isn't struggling, right? You know, there will always be a HD, won't there? Like in some guys, I mean, I know for a fact they're making bikes with a Harley Davidson badge out of the likes of Thailand and Brazil and India now. That's just a bit of a current climate thing, isn't it? You know, like, there's no way you can make these ridiculously big, heavy, bloody hunks of steel out of America, paying those American wages with the American raw material costs, you know, and be making any money, even though, personally, Japanese sports bike opinion again, I truly do believe, and I will put to any of you keyboard warriors that love your Harley Davidsons, you give me the argument as to a Harley is not overpriced. You can't, can you? They're overpriced, guys. They're too overpriced for what they are. You know, it's the company started in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, I believe, like 120 bloody years ago. Like, was it 1903? I think it was. And I believe they're still using the same engine drawings from that day to this. The world has just evolved. You know, when they here's a bit of a timeline, guys. When HD were first making bikes, man hadn't flown. We had not been in the air. You know what I'm saying? Powered flight, the Wright brothers and all. And here we are. They're still making Harleys. Hat tip to you, or longevity. But you know, there's billionaires getting shot up into space tomorrow. You know, like, why don't you, Harley, move with the rest of the world in evolution and, you know, growth, engineering, materials, know-how, brains trust. But the converse side of that argument, isn't it, is that they ain't going to change. You know, they've got their market. They have their market sorted. You know, you buy into these things for, like I said, what I think is an absurd amount of money, and then you know, you get the bloody catalogue that's as thick as your arm of all of the HD accessories that can go onto it. That's the cost of another bike just in that. Just in buying accessories and trinkets for your bike. And then, yeah, and then, you know, you get your nail clippers and your shampoo and your hallway runners. As a company, when the old HD hooks go in ya, I don't think they ever come out, do they? I'll be honest, I have not yet had the hook go in me. Like I said, I'm a motorcyclist and I love bikes. And I respect this thing for what it is. It serves a purpose. Its purpose might not be for everyone. Oh, look at that green light. Look at that. Out my way. Out my way, cyclist. There's 7,000 kilos of motorcycle coming at you. Some twisties. Let's go into first, shall we? Oh, leverage that big bugger in. This is when you can feel the wheelbase of this thing. It's huge. Bloody hell. Oh, go on, girl. There we go. The suspension is quite plush, it being the soft tail Fat Boy that it is. And I think the weight and the inertia help. If there was a bump, I honestly think this thing just irons the bump out on the road. So I think the best place to ride any bike is behind a Fat Boy, because that dude's just cleaning your track. He's just like a D9 dozer, grader, just clearing the bumps out for you. I'm now starting to see why they're so damn popular. I know all of my mates that ride Harleys, as I said, they're all been in my ear the last few years, ever since I hit 40. They're saying, when are you getting the Harley? When are you getting the Harley? Not for a while yet, guys. Not for a while yet. Just the pound for pound, you know what it is. Yes, this is a nice bike. Absolutely. I do not think it is worth the money that the market would probably put on this bike. Too rich for me. I know I could take that same amount of money and go buy an off-its-head European bike with all the bells and all the whistles and bloody satellites up there that are connected to it. They're telling you what it's doing and what it's about to do. Where this is just a bloody rock and a hammer. You know, it's pretty rudimentary technology. That there, in and of itself, I understand. That's what people dig of it. But that it doesn't have its own satellites, and it's a rock and a hammer, you know. If we can use the analogy of a weapon, yes. So a sports bike, that's a goddamn samurai sword. Yeah, it's a precision implement. It's deadly. It's lethal. Where absolutely, this thing is deadly and lethal as well. In the same way, a board with a nail in it can be deadly and lethal. You know, you're gonna die. You're gonna get bludgeoned to death on it. At least when a bloody sports bike bites you, the samurai sword, enough! You're gone! Lights out! This thing would just be bloody, yeah, death by board with a nail in it. It is impressive though. I'm happy I rode it. Thanks for sticking around. Take care. Peace out. Be safe. Be happy.